उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Those who are situated on the platform of Shantarasa get their impetus for advancement in devotional service by smelling the tulsi offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, by hearing the sound of his conch shell, by seeing a sanctified place in some mountain or hill, by observing a forest like the ones in Vrindavan, by going to a place of pilgrimage, by visiting the course of the Ganges, by being victorious over the dictations of bodily demands, that is, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, by understanding the devastation of eternal time, and by constantly associating with devotees engaged in Krishna consciousness. All these different items are favorable in elevating saintly persons situated in Shantaras to the advanced stage of devotional service. In the third canto, 15th chapter, verse 43 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement by the four saintly persons known as the Chatur headed by son of Kumar. They went to visit the Lord of Vaikuntha Lok in the spiritual sky, and when they bowed down before the Lord, the aroma of the tulsi mixed with saffron entered their nostrils, and they immediately attracted their minds. Although these four saintly persons were always absorbed in the thought of impersonal Brahman from the association with the Lord and from smelling the tulsi leaves, the hairs on their bodies immediately stood up. This shows that even a person who is situated in Brahman realization, if he is put into association with devotees in pure devotional service, will immediately become attracted to the personal feature of the Lord.
Here are certain symptoms of great sages who are situated in the Shanta Rasa devotional service. And these symptoms are exhibited as follows. They concentrate their eyesight on the tip of the nose, and they behave just like Avadhuta. Avadhuta means a highly elevated mystic who does not care for any social, religious, or Vedic conven- uh, conventions. Um, Other symptom is that such persons are very careful to step forward when giving speeches. When they speak, they join together and forefinger the thumb. This is called the Jnana Mudra position. They are not against the atheists, nor are they particularly inclined to the devotees. Such persons give stress to liberation and detachment from the materialistic way of life. They are always neutral and have no affection for the misidentification with anything material. They are always grave, but fully absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These uncommon features develop in devotees who are situated in the Shantarasa. Regarding concentration of the eyesight on the tip of the nose, there is a statement in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu by a devotee who observed this being performed by a yogi. He remarked, "This great sage is concentrating his eyesight on the tip of the nose, and from this it appears that he has already realized the eternal form of Lord within himself." Sometimes a devotee in Shantarasa yawns, stretches his limbs, instructs on devotional service, offer respectful obeisances unto the form of the Lord, offer nice prayers to the Lord, and he has a desire to give direct service with his body. These are some of the common symptoms of a devotee who is situated in neutrality. One devotee, after observing the yawning of another devotee, addresses him thus: "My dear mystic, I think that within your heart there is some aesthetic devotional love which is causing you yawn. It is sometimes found that a devotee in the Shantarasa falls down on the ground, his hair stand up on the body, and he trembles all over. In this way, different symptoms of aesthetic trance are exhibited automatically by such devotees."
In the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, it is said that when Lord Krishna was blowing his conch shell known as Panchajanya, many great sages who were living in the caves of the mountains immediately reached being awakened from their trance of meditation. They immediately saw the hairs of their bodies were standing. Sometimes devotee in Shantarasa becomes stunned, peaceful, jubilant, deliberate, reflective, anxious, dexterous, and argumentative. These symptoms indicate continuous ecstasy or established emotion. Once a great realized sage was lamenting that the Supreme Lord Krishna was living in Dwarka, but that he was unable to take advantage of seeing him. After thinking this, the sage immediately became stunned. He was thinking that he was simply wasting his time. In other words, the sage lamented because the Supreme Personality of Godhead was personally present, but he still could not take advantage of this because of his meditation. When a mystic is transcendental to all kinds of mental concoctions and is situated in Brahman, his state is called trance, beyond the influence of the mental material conception of life. In that stage, when one hears about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, there may be shivering in the body.
When a Brahma realization devotee who has come to the stage of steady trance comes into contact with the eternal form of Krishna, his transcendental pleasure increases millions of times. One great sage once inquired from another, "My dear friend, do you think that after I perfect the eightfold yoga performances, I shall be able to see the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead?" This inquiry from the sage is an instance of insecutiveness and a devotee situated in the neutral stage of devotional service. When Lord Krishna, although with his elder brother Balrama and sister Subhadra, came to Kurukshetra in a chariot on the occasion of a solar eclipse, many mystic yogis also came. When these mystic yogis saw Lord Krishna and Balram, they exclaimed that now they had seen the excellent bodily effulgence of the Lord, and they had almost forgotten the pleasure derived from the impersonal Brahma realization. In this connection, one of the mystics approached Krishna and said, "My dear Lord, you are always full with transcendental bliss, excelling all other spiritual positions. And so, simply by seeing you from a distant place, I have come to the conclusion that there is no need of my being situated in the transcendental bliss of impersonal Brahma." When a great mystic was once awakened from his meditative trance by hearing the vibration of Krishna uh, Panchajanya conch shell, the mystic became overpowered. And so much so, in fact, that he began to bash his head on the ground, and with eyes full of his tears of ascetic love, he violated all the rules and regulations of his yoga performances, and thus at once neglected the process of Brahma realization.
Belva Mangal Thakur in his book Krishna Karnamrit says, "Let the impersonalist be engaged in the process of transcendental realization by worshipping the impersonal Brahman. Although I was also initiated into the path of Brahman realization, I have now become misled by a naughty boy, one who is very cunning, who is very much attached to the gopis, and who has made me his maid servant. So I have now forgotten the process of Brahman realization." Bilvamangal Thakur was first spiritually initiated for impersonal realization of the absolute truth, but later on, by his association with Krishna in Vrindavan, he became an inexperienced devotee. The same thing happened to Shukadeva Goswami, who has reformed himself by the grace of the Lord and took to the path of devotional service, giving up the way of impersonal realization. Shukadeva Goswami and Bilvamangal Thakur, who gave up the impersonal conception of the absolute truth to take to devotional service, are the best examples of devotees situated in the neutral state. According to some authorities, this condition cannot be accepted as one of the transcendental humors or rasas, but Srila Rupa Goswami says that even if one does not accept it as a transcendental humor, one must still accept it as the beginning position of devotional service. However, if one is not further raised to the platform of actual service to the Lord, he is not considered to be on the platform of transcendental mellow. In this connection, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna personally instructs Uddhava like this: "The state of being established in my personal form is called Shantarasa, and without being situated in this position, no one can advance to actual pure devotional service." In other words, no one can be situated in the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without being situated at least in Shantarasa.
Chapter 36, Transcendental Affection, Servitude. The transcendental mellow affection has been accepted by the authorities like Sridhara Swami as a perfectional stage of devotion. It is just above the humor of neutrality and is a requisite for the ser- development of the serving humor. In literature such as Nanda Kaumudi, this state of existence is accepted as continuous affection for or attraction for Krishna. Authorities like Shukdev Shukdev Goswami considered this stage of affection to be in the neutral stage, but in any case, this affection is relished by the devotees in different transcendental tastes, and therefore the general name for this state is affection and pure affection for Krishna. Devotees engaged in servitude and are attached to Krishna in the affection of reverence. Some of the inhabitants of Gokul, Vrindavan as exhibited on earth, are attached to Krishna on this platform of affection and reverence. The inhabitants of Vrindavan used to say, Krishna is always manifest before us with a complexion like a blackish cloud. He holds his wonderful flute in his lotus hand. He is dressed in yellow silks and bedbeck, bedecked with a peacock feather on his head. When Krishna walks near Govardhan Hill with his personal features, all the inhabitants of the heavenly planets, as well as the inhabitants of the earth, feel transcendental bliss and consider themselves the eternal servants of the Lord. Sometimes the devotee becomes filled with the same awe and reverence by seeing the picture of Vishnu, who is dressed like Krishna and who has a similar complexion. The only difference is that Vishnu has four hands in which he holds the conch, shell and disc, the club, and the lotus flower. Lord Vishnu is always decorated with many valuable gems, jewels such as the Chandrakanta stone and the Suryakanta stone. In the Lalit Madhava by Rupa Goswami, there is a following statement by Daruka, one of the servants of Krishna. Certainly, Lord Vishnu is very beautiful with his necklace of Kaustuba jewels, his four hands holding conch shell, disc, club, and a lotus flower, and his dazzlingly beautiful jewelry. He's also very beautiful in his eternal position, riding upon the shoulder of Garuda. But now the same Lord Vishnu is present as the enemy of Kamsa, and by his personal feature, I am completely forgetting the opulence of Vaikuntha.
Another devotee once said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose bodily pores come millions of universes permanently rising, who is the ocean of mercy, who is the owner of inconceivable energies, who is always equipped with all perfections, who is the origin of all incarnations, who is the attraction for all liberated persons. This very Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Controller and the supremely worshipable. He is all cognizant, fully determined, and fully opulent. He is the emblem of forgiveness and the protector of surrendered soul. He is munificent, true to his promise, expert, all auspicious, powerful, and religious. He is a strict follower of the scripture. He is the friend of the devotees, and he is magnanimous, influential, grateful, reputable, respectable, full of all strength, and submissive to pure love. Surely he is the only shelter of devotees who are attached to him by the affection of servitorship. The devotees of the Lord in servitude are divided into four classes. Appointed servants such as Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, who are appointed to control the material modes of passion and ignorance. Devotees in servitude who are protected by the Lord. Devotees who are always associate, and devotees who are simply following in the footsteps of the Lord. Appointed servants. In the conversation between Jamvati, one of Krishna's wife, and Kalindi, her friend Jamvati inquired, who is this personality circumambulating our Krishna? Kalindi replied, she is Ambika, the superintendent of all universal affairs. Then Jamvati inquired, who is this personality who is trembling at the sight of Krishna? Kalindi replied, he is Lord Shiva. Then Jamvati inquired, who is this person offering prayers? Kalindi replied, he is Lord Brahma. Jamvati then asked, who is that person who is fallen on the ground and is offering respect to Krishna? Kalindi replied, he is Indra, the king of heaven. Jamvati then next inquired, who is this person who has come with the demigods and is laughing with them? Kalindi replied, he is my elder brother Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. This conversation offers a description of all demigods, including Yamaraj, who are engaged in services appointed by the Lord. They are called Adhikrita Devata, or demigods appointed to a particular type of departmental service.
Devotees under the protection and the shelter of the Lord. One resident of Vrindavan once told Lord Krishna, "My dear Krishna, O pleasure of Vrindavan, being afraid of this material existence, we have taken shelter of you, for you can completely protect us. We are well aware of your greatness. As such, we have given up all our desire for liberation and taken complete shelter under your lotus feet. Since we have heard about your ever increasing transcendental love, we have voluntarily engaged ourselves in your transcendental service. This statement is by a devotee who is under the protection and shelter of Lord Krishna. Upon being chastised by Lord Krishna, Krishna's constant kicking on his head, Kalia, the black snake of the Yamuna, came to his senses and admitted, "My dear Lord, I have been so offensive unto you, but still you are so kind that you have marked my head with the impression of your lotus feet." This is also an instance of one's taking shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna. In the Aprada Bhajana, a pure devotee expresses his feelings. "My dear Lord, I am ashamed to admit before you that I have carried out the orders of my masters named lust, anger, avarice, illusion, and envy. Sometimes I have carried out their orders in a way most abdominal, yet in spite of my serving them so faithfully, they are not satisfied, nor they are kind enough to give me relief from their service. They are not even ashamed of taking service from me in that way. My dear Lord, O head of the Yadu dynasty, now I have uh, now I have come to my senses and I am taking shelter of your lotus feet. Please engage me in your service. This is another instance of surrendering and taking shelter of lotus feet of Krishna. There are many instances in various Vedic writings of persons who are aspiring after liberation by speculative knowledge, but gave up this process in order to take complete shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna. Examples of such persons are Brahmanas headed by Shaunaka in the forest of Naimisharanya. Learned scholars accept them as devotees having complete wisdom. There is a statement in the Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya in which these great Brahmanas and sages, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, told Suta Goswami, "My dear great soul, just see how wonderful it is. Although as human beings we are contaminated with so many taints of material existence, simply by our conversing with you about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, now we are now gradually decrying our desire for liberation. These are the Brahmanas these are the Brahmanas to whom Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Sudha Goswami, as described in the author's Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter.
In Padyavali, a devotee says, persons who are attached to speculative knowledge for self-realization, who have decided that the supreme truth is beyond meditation and who have thus become situated in the mode of goodness, let them peacefully execute their engagement. As for us, we are simply attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is by nature so pleasing, who possesses a complexion like a blackish cloud, and who is dressed in yellow garments, and who has beautiful lotus-like eyes. We wish only to meditate upon him. Those who are from the very beginning of their self-realization attached to devotional service are called Sevanishta. Sevanishta means simply attached to devotional service. The best examples of such devotees are Lord Shiva, King Indra, King Bahulashva, King Ikshvaku, Shrutadev, and Pundarik. When devotee says, "My dear Lord, your transcendental qualities attract even the liberated souls and carry them to the assembly of devotees where your glories are constantly chanted. Even great sages who are accustomed to living in solitary places are also attracted by the songs of your glory. And observing all your transcendental qualities, I have also become attracted and have decided to dedicate my life to your loving service." Constant associates. In the city of Dwarka, the following devotees are known as Krishna's close associates: Uddhava, Daruk, Satyaki, Shrutadev, Satrujit, Nanda, Upananda, and Bhadra. All of these personalities remain with the Lord as his secretaries, but still they are sometimes engaged in his personal service. Among the Kuru dynasty, Bhim, Maharaj Parikshit, and Vidura are also known as close associates of Lord Krishna. It is said all the associates of Lord Krishna have lustrous bodily features and their eyes are just like lotus flowers. They have a sufficient power to repeat the strength of the demigods. The specific feature of their persons is that They are always decorated with valuable ornaments. When Krishna was in the capital, Indraprastha, someone addressed him thus: "My dear Lord, your personal associates headed by Uddhava are always awaiting your order by standing at the entrance gate of Dwarka. They are mostly looking on with tears in their eyes and enthusiasm of their service. They are not afraid even of the devastating fire generated by Lord Shiva. Their souls simply surrendered unto your lotus feet. Out of the many close associates of Lord Krishna, Uddhava is considered the best. The following is a description of him. His body is blackish like the color of Yamuna river, and it is similarly as cool. He is always decorated with with flower garlands first used by Lord Krishna, and he is dressed with yellow silk cloth. His two arms are just like bolts of the door. His eyes are just like lotus flower, and he is the most important devotee among all the associates. Let us therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto Uddhava's lotus feet. Uddhava has described the transcendental qualities of Sri Krishna as follows. Lord Sri Krishna, who is our master and worshipable deity, the controller of Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, and the controller of the whole universe as well, accepts the controlling orders of Ugrasen, his grandfather. He is the proprietor of millions of universes, but still he begged a little land from the ocean. And although he is just like an ocean of wisdom, he sometimes consults me. He is so great and magnanimous, yet he is engaged in different activities just like an ordinary person.
Followers of the Lord. Those who are constantly engaged in the personal service of the Lord are called Anugas or followers. Examples of such followers are Suchandra, Mandana, Stamba, and Sutamba. They are all inhabitants of the city of Dwarka, and they are dressed and ornamented like the other associates. The specific service entrusted to the Anugas are varied. Mandana always wears the umbrella over the head of Lord Krishna. Suchandra is engaged in fanning with the white chamvara bunch of hair. Sutamba is engaged in applying betel nuts. All of them are great devotees and they are always busy in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As there are Anugas in Dwarka, so there are many Anugas in Vrindavan also. The names of the Anugas in Vrindavan are as follows: Raktaka, Patraka, Patri, Madhukantha, Madhuvrata, Rasala, Suvilasa, Premakanda, Markanda, Ananda, Chandrahasha, Payoda, Bakula, Rasada, and Sharada. Descriptions of the bodily features of the Anugas in Vrindavan are given in the following statement. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the constant associates of the son of Maharaj Nand. They always stay in Vrindavan, and their bodies are decorated with garlands of pearls and with the bangles and bracelets of gold. Their colors are like black bees and golden moon, and they are dressed just to suit their particular special bodily features. Their specific duties can be understood from a statement by Mother Yashoda, who said, "Bakula, please cleanse the yellowish dress of Krishna. Varika, you just flavor the bathing water of the aguru scent. In the rasal, you just prepare the betel nuts. You can all see that Krishna is approaching. There is uh, there is dust overhead, and the cows can be seen very distinctly. Among all the Anugas, Raktaka is considered to be the chief. The description of his bodily features is as follows: he wears yellow clothing, and his body color is just like newly grown grass. He is very expert in singing and is always engaged in the service of the son of Nanda Maharaj. Let us all become the followers of Raktaka in offering transcendental loving service to Krishna. An example of attachment felt by Raktaka toward Lord Krishna can be understood from this statement to Rasada. Just hear me. Please place me so that I may always be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna, who has now become famous as the lifter of the Govardhan hill. The devotees of Krishna engaged in his personal service are always very cautious because they know that becoming personal servitors of Lord Krishna is not an ordinary thing. A person who offers respects even to the ants engaged in the service of the Lord becomes eternally happy. So, what is there to say of one who offers Krishna direct service? Raktaka once said within himself, "Not only Krishna is my worshipable and serviable Lord, but also the girlfriends of Krishna, the gopis, are equally worshipable and servable by me. And not only the gopis, but anyone who is engaged in the service of the Lord and is always worshipable and servable by me. I know that I must be careful not to become overly proud that I am only the one servitors and devotees of the Lord. From this statement, one can understand that the pure devotees, those who are actually engaged in the service of the Lord, are always very cautious and are never overly proud of their service. This mentality of the direct servitor of Krishna is called Dhurya. According to the expert analytical studies of the direct associates of the Lord, Rup Goswami has uh, divided these into three classes, namely Dhurya, Dhira, and Veera. Rataka is classified among the Dhurya, those who are always attached to serving the most beloved gopis. One Dhira associate of Krishna is the son of Satyabhama's nurse. Satyabhama is one of the queens of Lord Krishna in Dwarka, and when she was married to Krishna, the son of her nurse was allowed to go. The nurse was allowed to go with her because they had lived together from childhood as brother and sister. So this gentleman, the son of Satyabhama's nurse, used to live with Krishna and his brother-in-law. And sometimes, as brother-in-law, he used to play jokes with Krishna. He once addressed Krishna in this way: "My dear Krishna, I never tried to gain favor of the goddess of fortune who is married to you, but still
My dear Krishna, I never tried to gain the favor of the goddess of fortune who is married to you, but still I am so fortunate that I am considered as one of the members of your house, the brother of Satyabhama. A Veer associate once expressed his pride, declaring, Lord Baladev may be a great enemy of Pralambasur, but I have nothing to worry about him. As far as Pradyumna is considered, I have nothing to take from him because he is a simple boy. He's simply a boy, therefore I do not expect anything from anyone else. I simply expect the favorable glance of Krishna upon me, and so I am not at all afraid of Satyabhama, who is so dear to Krishna. In the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 20th chapter, 20, verse 28, King Prithu addresses the Lord, saying, My dear Lord, it may happen that the goddess of fortune becomes dissatisfied with my work, or I may even have some misunderstanding with her, but I will not mind this because I have full confidence in you. You're always causelessly merciful to your servants, and you consider with their even and you consider even their menial service to be very much advanced. So I have confidence that you will accept my humble service, although it is not worthy of being recognized, my dear Lord. You are self-sufficient. You can do anything you like without the help of anyone else. So even the goddess of fortune is not satisfied with me. I know that you will always accept my service anyway. Devotees attached to the transcendental loving service of the Lord may be described either as surrendered souls, as souls advanced in devotional knowledge, or as souls completely engaged in transcendental loving service. Such devotees are called respectively neophyte, perfect, and eternally perfect. Chapter 37, Impetuses for Krishna's Service. The causeless mercy of Krishna, the dust of his lotus feet, his prasad, and association with his devotees are some impetuses towards a devotee's engagement in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Krishna exhibited his causeless mercy when he was present at the departure of grandfather Bhishma. During the battle of Kurukshetra, Bhishma Dev, the grandfather of Arjuna, was lying on a bed of arrows before departing from this mortal world. When Lord Krishna, Madhari Yudhishthira and other Pandavas approached Bhishma Dev, he was very grateful to Lord Krishna and he addressed the Brahmana military commander Kripacharya thus: My dear Kripacharya, just see the wonderful causeless mercy of Lord Krishna. I'm most fortunate. I'm most unfortunate. I have no qualification. I was opposing Krishna's most intimate friend Arjuna. I even tried to kill him. I have so many disqualifications, and yet the Lord is still kind, so that He has come to see me at the last point of my life. He is worshipable by all the great sages, but He is so merciful that He has come to see an abominable person like me. Sometimes the vibration of Lord Krishna's fruit, like his buckling, his smiling, his footmarks on the ground, the transcendental fragrance of his body, and the appearance of a new cloud in the sky, also become impetuses for ecstatic love of him. In the Vigat Madhav, there is the following statement where when Krishna was playing on his flute, Baladev very anxiously declared, "The sea, it's okay. The sea how after hearing the transcendental sound of Lord Krishna's flute, Indra, the king of heaven, is crying in this heavenly kingdom, and from his teardrops falling on the ground, Vrindavan appears to have become a celestial residence for the demigods. Ecstatic love for Krishna, which is known as Anubhav, is symptomized by the following signs. One becomes engaged exclusively in the service of the Lord, being attentive to carry out the orders of the Lord faithfully. One becomes undisturbed and non-envious in full transcendental loving service to the Lord, and one makes friendship with the devotees of the Lord, who are situated in the faithful service to Him. All of these symptoms are called Anubhav, ecstatic love. The first symptom of Anubhav or engagement in a particular type of service is exemplified by Daruk, a servant of Krishna who used to fan Krishna with chamar, a bunch of hair. When he was engaged in service of
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sorry, we got some network issue. The first symptom of Anubhava or engagement in a particular type of service is exemplified by Dwarka, a servant of Krishna, who used to fan Krishna with a chamara, a bunch of hair. When he was engaged in such service, he was filled with aesthetic love, and symptoms of aesthetic love became manifest in his body. But Daruka was so serious about his service that he checked all of the manifestations of aesthetic love and considered him hindrances to his engagement. He did not care very much for these manifestations, although they automatically developed. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto 86th chapter verse 38, there is a statement of how Shrutadeva, a Brahmana from the country called Mithila in northern India, became so empowered with joy as soon as he saw Krishna that immediately after going to the Lord's lotus feet, he stood up and began to dance, raising his two arms and above his head. One of the devotees of Lord Krishna once addressed him in this manner: "My dear Lord, although you are not a professional dancer, by your dancing you have so astonished us that we can understand that you are personally the master of all dancing. Certainly, you have learned this dancing art directly from the goddess of love. When a devotee dances in aesthetic love, these are manifestations of symptoms which are called Satvika. Satvika means that they are from the transcendental platform. They are not. They are not symptoms of material emotion. They come from the soul. They come from the soul proper. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 85th chapter, verse 38, Shukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit that after surrendering everything unto the lotus feet of Vaman Deva, Bali Maharaj immediately caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord and and pressed them to his heart. Being overwhelmed with joy, he manifested all the symptoms of aesthetic love with tears in his eyes and a faltering voice. In such expressions of aesthetic love, there are many other subsidiary symptoms such as jubilation, withering, silence, disappointment, moroseness, reverence, thoughtfulness, remembrance, doubtfulness, confidence, eagerness, indifference, restlessness, impudence, shyness, inertness, illusion, madness, ghastliness, contemplation, dreaming, disease, and signs of death. When a devotee meet Krishna, these are the symptoms of jubilation, pride, and perseverance. And when he is feeling great separation from Krishna, the symptoms of ghastliness, disease, and sign of death become prominent.
It is stated in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, verse 5, that when Lord Krishna returned from the battlefield of Kurukshetra to his home at Dwarka, all the residents of Dwarka began to talk with him as a child talks lovingly to his father after the father's return from foreign countries. This is an example of jubilation. When Bahulashva, the king of Mithila, saw Krishna at his palace, he decided to offer his respects by bowing down before him at least 100 times. And but he was also overcome by his feelings of love that after bowing down only once, he forgot his position and could not rise again. In the Skanda Purana, a devotee tells Lord Krishna, "My dear Lord Krishna, as the sun evaporates all the water on the ground by its scorching heat, so my mental state has dried away the luster of my face and body due to separation from you." This is an example of withering in ecstatic love. An expression of disappointment was made by Indra, the king of heaven, when he saw the sun god. Indra told him, "My dear sun god, your sunshine is very glorious because it reaches unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, master of the Yadu dynasty. I have thousands of eyes, but they have proved to be useless because not even for a moment they are able to see the lotus feet of the Lord." Reverential devotion for the Lord gradually increases and transforms itself into ecstatic love and affection and then attachment. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 38th chapter, verse 6, Akrura says, "Because I am going to see Lord Krishna today, all symptoms of inauspiciousness have already been killed. My life is now successful because I shall be able to offer my respects unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead."
Another devotee in ascetic reverential affection once said, "When will that glorious day come in my life when it will be possible for me to go to the bank of Yamuna and see Lord Krishna playing with there as a cowherd boy? When there is no diminishing of the aesthetic love, and when it is freed from all kinds of doubt, the devotee has reached the stage called steady love for Krishna. In this stage, all expressions of unhappiness by the devotee are called anubhava or aesthetic loving symptoms. These are the symptoms of his aesthetic affection with reverence felt by Bali Maharaj was accepted as follows: "My dear Lord, you have simultaneously punished me and showed me your causeless mercy. My conclusion is that I have taken the shelter of your lotus feet, and I shall never be disturbed in any condition of my life. Whether you give me the opportunity to enjoy all the yogic perfections, or you put me into the most abominable condition of hellish life, I shall never be disturbed." Krishna himself, after seeing Bali Maharaj, told Uddhava, "My dear friend, how can I express the glorious characteristics of Bali Maharaj, the son of Virochana? Although the king of the Suras, demigods, was cursed by the son of Virochana, and although I cheated him in my incarnation as Vamana, taking away his dominions throughout the universe, and although I still criticized him for not fulfilling his promise, I have just now seen him in the kingdom, and he feelingly expressed his love for me. Bali was the king of the demons who waged war against the demigods and nearly conquered the universe. When the demigods prayed for help, the Lord appeared as Vaman Deva, a dwarf Brahmana, and asked Bali for 3 paces of land. Bali agreed, and Vamana covered all the worlds with his first 2 steps. Then he demanded to know where his third pace was to be. Bali offered his own head beneath the Lord foot, and thus became Mahadana, or a great devotee. When such a feeling of love becomes intensified, it is called affection. In the affectional stage, one cannot be a separation from Krishna even for a moment.
When devotee told Daruk, the servant of Krishna, "My dear Daruk, when you become like wood because of your separation from Krishna, it is not so wonderful. Whenever any devotee sees Krishna, his eyes become filled with water, and in separation, any devotee like you would become stunned, standing just like wooden doll. That is not very wonderful thing." There is a statement about Uttava's symptoms of love. When he saw Lord Krishna, his eyes filled with tears and created a river that flowed down towards the sea of Krishna to offer tribute. As a wife offers tribute to her husband, when his body erupted with goose pimples, he appeared like a kadamba flower, and when he began to offer prayers, he appeared completely distinct from all other devotees. When affection is symptomized by direct happiness and distress, it is called attraction. In such an attracted state of ecstatic love, one can face all kinds of disadvantages calmly. Even at the risk of death, such a devotee is never bereft of the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A glorious example of this ecstatic love was exhibited by King Parikshit when he was at the point of death. Although he was bereft of his entire kingdom, which spread all over the world, and although he was accepting not even a drop of water in the 7 days remaining to him, he was engaged in hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord from Shukadev Goswami. He was not in the least distressed. On the contrary, he was feeling direct transcendental ecstatic joy in association with Shukadev Goswami. One devotee has confidently expressed this opinion. If a drop of Lord Krishna's mercy can be bestowed upon me, then I shall feel completely carefree even in the midst of a fire or an ocean. But if I become bereft of his causeless mercy, then even if I become the king of Dwaraka, I would simply be an object of pinpricks.
Devotees such as Maharaj Parikshit and Uddhava are all situated in aesthetic attraction on the basis of affection, and in that stage of affection, a feeling of friendship become manifest. When Uddhava was freed from all material contamination, he saw the Lord, and his throat became choked up, and he could not speak. By the movements of his eyebrows alone, he was embracing the Lord. Such aesthetic love has been divided by great scholars into two groups: addition and subtraction. Even a devotee is not directly associated with the Lord; it is called subtraction. In this state of love, one is constantly fixed in his mind at the lotus feet of the Lord. A devotee in his state becomes very eager to learn of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. The most important business of such a devotee is attaining the association of the Lord. In the Nrsimha Puran, there is a statement about King Ishwaku, which il- illustrates this state of aesthetic love. Because of this great affection for Krishna, King Ishwaku became greatly attached to the black cloud, the black deer, the deer's black eyes, and the lotus flower, which is always compared to the lotus eyes of the Lord. In the 10th canto, 38th chapter, verse 10 of the Bhagavatam, Akrura thinks, since the Lord has now appeared to diminish the great burden of the world and is now visible to everyone's eyes in his personal transcendental body, when he sees him before us, it is not that the ultimate perfection of our eyes. In other words, Akrura realized that the perfection of the eyes is fulfilled when one is able to see Lord Krishna. Therefore, when Lord Krishna was visible on the earth by the direct appearance, everyone who saw him surely attained perfection of sight. In the Krishna Karnamrita, written by Bilva Mangal Thakur, there is the expression of eagerness and aesthetic love. How miserable it is that it is, my dear Krishna, O friend of the hopeless, O merciful Lord, how can I pass these thankless days without seeing you. A similar sentiment was expressed by Uddhava when he wrote a letter to Krishna and said, my dear Supreme King of Braja, you are the vision of nectar of the eyes, and without seeing your lotus feet and effulgence of your body, my mind is always morose. I cannot perceive any peace under the circumstance. Besides that, I am feeling every moment separations to be like duration of many long years. In the Krishna Karnamrita, it is also said, my dear Lord, you are the ocean of mercy. With my arms placed upon my head, I am bowing down before you with all humility and sincerity. I am praying unto you, my Lord. I am praying unto you, my Lord. Would you be please just a sprinkle of little water on your glance upon me? That will be the greatest satisfaction. A devotee of Lord Krishna said, when even Shashi Shekhara, Lord Shiva, is unable to see you, what chance is there for me, who am lower than an ordinary worm? I have only committed misdeeds. I know that I'm not at all fit to offer my prayers unto you, because you are known as the Deen Bandhu, the friend of the fallen. I humbly pray that you will kindly purify me uh, by the beams of your transcendental glance. If I become thoroughly bathed in your merciful glance, then I may be saved. Therefore, my Lord, I am requesting you to please bestow your merciful glance upon me.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay.